Alright, so each of these videos, we'll start with a zoomed out shot of the base. This is what we have so far. We melted it down a bunch of weapons and armor in the immediate area to get bronze tiling. We have laid out our fields of wheat, mushrooms, hops, potatoes, carrots, garlic, onions, and peppers, and a little bit of heel root. And I'm over here disassembling more old walls and pieces to get steel and more bronze. Resources we will need for the coming days. I'm leaving the monuments up. The people who were here before deserve to be. I don't know what's up with the heteochromia thing, and it's just annoyed me to the point that I'm not even going to keep messing with it. Lori, if you can figure out how to fix it, that'd be great. But if you can't, I understand. In the meantime, we have a lot of animals. And we've acquired those goose that I mentioned towards the end of the last of the 2.5 episode. So instead of chickens, we have geese. Setting up a disposal area to throw out rotted mush, because it's gonna happen. We don't have perfect refrigeration. Well, we got Honk, our cat named Croquette, our little Rottweiler named Misaki, Yugi and Yu-Gi-Oh are back. We got a couple rocks. I need some name for rocks. They're big horned goat cows. They're more like if a bison and a minotaur had a baby. Anyway, Paladin the bear is a happy bear. Now that I've put that image in your head, Lori works feverishly to create axes for us, just some basic weapons and armors that are, and particular helmets, because we don't have any. What you're seeing was the footage sped up to get past that. A bandit lair comes up and I think, awesome, our first quest, and they want me to send half my colony for 5 days. And we don't have a food reserve yet. What are you, stupid? Crazy? Insane? Absolutely not! We will not perform this quest for you. I thought we were going to have an excuse to leave. This is insane. If you'd asked for 2 pawns, sure, but you're also sending 6 personal guards. What do you need 10 people for? Good God. I am most uncomfortable with this. I think you're just going to use our 4 people as cannon fodder. And honestly, I like your tactics, but not for me. I noticed that there is a geothermal geyser here. We're going to put that to use later. I've got a mod to help us out with that. But we've also got, you know, magic to learn. And so, Candle Draw has become our warrior paladin. Solar Aura has become our ice queen of the druids. And has an ability called Crop Burst. And I decided, it's about time to use that. Lori's become our master smith and fire wizard. But we could use some extra crops right now. So we're going to throw the dice and see what comes out of it.
Holy shit!
And magically, out of thin air, the best crop we could have gotten. Spelt, aka wild wheat. It's literally the best crop we could have gotten because it will give us the most food. And it will also generate straw, which we can use for a variety of things for our animals. So, yay! It's a fortunate day. You can see Lori's little constructor golem starting to roam around, hauling stuff for us. I need to mark this place as a place to put goose eggs and milk. Milk from the rocks, goose eggs from the honkers. Angie, Bitey, Honk, Screamer, and Venya. Don't mess with Venya! The rest of them are nothing compared to Venya! I'm interrupting my own video for like 2 seconds to remind you to slap the like button like it owes you money. That's it. That's all I'm doing. Thank you. To make flour and straw. Our anima tree has finally found a nice little place to be. We've built some nature shrines around it. We've left the original monuments from the old dwarven hold that was once here up. Building something new, but remember the old. And we're starting to make our freaking dining room. Okay, look, we're going to have a grand hall. And this is probably it for the time being until we're ready to make a grander hall. Because there is going to be a great move. Those little tailor cabinets are the first step to the grand move. I'll explain that later as we use an anvil to make a wooden hammer. That's a thing. Gotta have our mallet. Everybody gotta have their mallet. And we've established a hall. It's time we start filling some roles. High Queen. I know it says High King, but the actual title of the role is High Queen. There it is. I agree to serve you all and make sure that as few of you as possible die, but I make no promises. The music for the Dwarf mod style is awesome, by the way. It really has that Ocarina of Time feel to it in terms of the score, and I kind of like it. We need to set up a Master of the Forge. Now, Lilith has just joined us at the end of last episode, and there's a debate here as to whether Lilith will be the Master of the Forge or Adagio will be the Master of the Forge. Everyone's saying Lilith's not a dwarf, she doesn't have the right to be the Master of the Forge, she's not a forge smith. But then it's kindly pointed out that the primary role of the Master of the Forge is not the creation of items. The role of the Master of the Forge is the counseling of the dwarves. I say this as I plan out a tea and a coffee and a tobacco field for us to grow our lovely, lovely necessary caffeine and drugs. Yes, we're going to grow tobacco. No, we're not just going to sell it. We're going to smoke it. I eventually want to be making cigars. I'm going to be honest. Cigars that we both sell and smoke. But that requires gold. Because they have gold wrapping. You literally burn up gold for drugs. And our first trader arrives. And something with Maynard that you should all understand. Maynard sends events in sporadic sequence. So when I say our first trader has arrived, he's not our only one. Also with them comes Uncle Viper Slayer! My uncle, Viper Slayer. You know, he looked human there for a second. I'm gonna assure everybody, Uncle Viper Slayer is just a master of disguise. That's all he is. That's all you need to worry about. See, he's really a dwarf. See? Totally a dwarf the whole time. It's decided that Lilith will be Master of the Forge because her primary job is counseling. And Lilith only has three good skills. Animals, crops, and people. So, we begin the service. There's a lidworm out here for some reason that's dead. I was looking for it because I knew it was dangerous. It turns out it died from a turtle. There is a reason why we do not tame or hunt turtles in this game. RimWorld turtles are death. They are lethal bastards. See, I told you the music for the dwarf rituals was awesome. And a second merchant arrives. This one from the Shogunate. It's nice to greet the ruler of the Japans. I know that's not how it's pronounced, but literally, do we know better yet? But the weebs are here. The people who went into space and became weebs, they're here. I noticed that there's been a bug because I'm not showing up to the ritual until I deliver this set of marble blocks, and the ritual fails because there's not enough people physically at the ritual space. So I'm like, I know dwarves are stubborn, but did I really have to deliver those blocks and stop to eat some soup?
Yes. nice.
I feel like I have just insulted Lilith, and I was the protesting vote for why Lilith was not getting to be Master of the Forge there for a hot minute. So we're gonna do it again. Being as stubborn as dwarves are. The music sounds really funny, sped up. It just entertains me. And the next role we need to fill is Master of Families. That requires a cape. It sounds like something straight out of My Hero Academia. It's just something that just makes me smile and giggle as we cut up the lidworm for its scales. So we're going to make a cape for the Master of the Forge. We don't have the technology to make the Jarl cape yet. So eventually we will be replacing it with a much more fine and refined Jarl cape. But in the meantime, a regular cape will do. And it's not necessarily going to be made of anything fancy. I have to look for what we have on hand. It is what it is. It is the first time we're going to get this done. And, you know, sacred items like a cape sometimes get replaced with a nicer cape. Other times they don't. We do have some sauropod leather lying around. And I decide, yeah, Adagio can have a cape made out of dinosaurs. I'm good with that. I also need to adjust the storage settings so that leather isn't stored in the cloth bins. We're going to come back to that workshop in a little while. It's not set up right. It's too small, too cramped. But in the meantime, yeah, he's going to have a cape made out of dinosaurs. So, Adagio, you have a cape made out of dinosaur. The merchant doesn't really have anything for us to buy, and those Mega Louse hides that we got at the end of last episode are going to make some nice, very nice boots later. I'm not even kidding. We're going to make them into boots. He does have a couple of mental power spell books for us. I want to say powers, but it's spell books. We're going to sell the lidworm scales before we even bother tanning them, because they're more valuable that way, in order to get word of immunity. I really wanted the drill arm or the sterilizing stomach, but we just don't have the money to justify that purchase right now. We haven't accumulated the wealth of dwarves. Everyone thinks we have, but we haven't. Had to spend a moment in developer mode fixing an error. And then a weaponsmith from House Soren, the house that defended us in court, arrives. They're a house of traitors. Not traitors as in betray you, but traitors as in we're here with merchandise. They're the house of merchandising. I really want a mod that lets me rename them. The one I found doesn't actually work properly. I can rename settlements. I can't rename the whole faction. And then I look at our stats. And oh boy, we're going to be spending a long time just making up for our negatives. Because we did not get high rolls. So the lowest roll for a stat that a character can get is 42. And that is negative 42. And the highest is positive 69. You know why I did that. You know exactly why I did that. But yeah, every one of us, we have not had proper training. We have not had the experiences necessary to grow and develop into the greatest of warriors. That's going to be left for our children. One of you, a couple of you will be the original warriors. Like, I'm already picturing Adagio turning into a brute of a heavy two-handed wielder, and Candledraw being our paladin with the plasma sword, the sacred plasma sword. I want a mod that lets me rename weapons. But Adagio will become Master of Families, and I find out later this is a mistake. This is an error. This is a big error. Very big error. There's a reason this is a big error. That says incapable of hunting. It does not say incapable of violence. Guess which one of those two things it means. Adagio's just happy to have the honor. Now, I noticed 7 man-hunting cave trolls. But we get a rebirth potion and recognition from the Empire, which would officially begrant them being able to invade us, but would also give us a potion of effectively a potion of resurrection. I say yes, and I know how we're going to do it. See, outside our gate right now are some traders, some elvish traders.
They have a cave troll.
Just arrived. They are going to be here for 36 hours. From the time they get to the settlement until the time they start leaving the map is 36 hours unless they're attacked. Now, I might not be a very nice person, but my personal opinion is to throw the knife ears to the sword. Much as the Khanate of ninjas has thrown one of House Soren's trading settlements to the sword in the Northern Poles. So Laura's going to start unlocking her martial prowess. But yeah. I'm like, where'd those elves go? Those elves had better not have left. Or we're screwed. And I notice, oh, we've actually mined out the section for the hospital, and that has also resulted in us mining out the area for the wall. Shit. We gotta get that closed up before those trolls arrive. In the meantime, something that does annoy me, I can set the fuel for everything but the kitchen pots, and they're going to use wood all the time, and I'm like, I wish they'd use coal. The whole point of having coal is to use it as a better fuel source than wood, as a more efficient fuel source than using wood. But it is what it is. I decided to forbid these sections of wall so that we won't mine anything else out. And I'm getting a graphical bug that I'm going to fix in a minute. But yeah, we need to get that wall closed up. That is priority uno. As Candledraw continues to do what they were told to do. Mine out a hospital. And get that coal. Because we gonna need it. So we get to work. We need to close this wall. It's not Mr. Gorbachev built this wall. It's Miss Fiaura. Put this wall up. We got 12 hours till them trolls are gonna get here. And it ain't gonna be a fun time. We're not going to that bandit lair. I'm not giving half my colony for 5 days on our first year here. That's not happening. If we had that many warriors ready to go, I'd say yes. But we ain't got that many warriors ready to go. And that man! That's the man that's supposed to come to my bestowing ceremony? What the fuck? Also, who's your enemy? Turns out his enemy is them elves. Turns out his enemy is them elves. I don't know why they wandered off and came back. I guess there was just that must have been the same bug that was causing the red splotches to appear when we completed a building. I fixed that bug, and then they turned around and came back. I don't understand that one. The manhunting trolls will be here any minute. At 1 a.m. they are supposed to show up, and then I notice while I'm trading with the elves to see if they have anything useful, the manhunter pack is here.
And let me tell you, baby, they was open for business.
There's no escape, by the way. The elves are caught between our walls, the ocean, and the narrow pass that is to get here. We, however, are still going to get up and prepare. We're going to be ready to fight. I'm going to go ahead and have Adagio set out these bedrolls. I'm assuming that we or the elves will take casualties here. One of those two things is going to happen. There's no getting around that. A flu strikes Yugi, but he's a garland. He'll be fine. And then the battle is on! Elvish bows begin slinging out. We can hear them outside our walls. And we choose not to act yet. Getting caught in Elvish crossfire, even for a dwarf, is no joke. A dwarf without proper armor? Getting caught in Elvish crossfire is suicidal. An explosion rocks the area when one of the elves reveals some alchemical concoction and sets the trolls ablaze. Cocktail Molotova! We rush out now that the Elvish fires died down, figuring the elves are either dead or wish they were. First troll is brought low by ice beams and thunderbolts, as is the second one. I start checking to make sure we've got a hospital. We'll save what few elves we can. So, that's it. The elves, turns out the reason they stopped shooting their bows. I tell Candledraw to brave the fire and get one last elf. And this will be the most faithful decision, braving that fire for the last surviving elf.
Sometimes foreshadowing is relatively obvious.
Now, at present, we ain't got them bedrolls down. So we're gonna have to treat him on the floor. The unclean floor. He's got to be treated. He's dying. Everybody immediately gets going. We're gonna put down another bed. That third elf I told Candledraw to rescue, however, is the one on the left. And, there's a reason he's gonna be important. Rebirth potion arrives. My honor's been bestowed. We've been officially recognized by the Empire for dealing with these trolls, which means they won't immediately invade us. Our doctors are tending the elves as best they can. One of them stands up and insists on treating himself, the arrogant prick. 2 seconds ago, you were lying down dying. Now you're bleeding all over my floor. Get into the medical bedroll and let us treat you. But Reludolin Volan is a banished tribe child. He's not wanted by his people. And then House Sanguine, the vampire house, shows up with a recon unit. Their objective is to scout us out in order to hopefully earn their right to become vampires themselves. One of the recon units immediately gets decimated by the last remaining elf on the map, who hadn't quite left yet. I checked, there's another elf that's still alive, but he bleeds out in 5 seconds. There's no saving him. He's dead. These 3 elves are the only ones we managed to save. We won't be able to give them proper burials, sadly. We don't have a dwarven tomb yet constructed. It's on the list of things to do, and it just hasn't happened yet. With toughness? That's maybe not all elf words there, boy. Anyway, we send Candledraw out, and she draws the blood. She does take a single hit from a hammer to the leg, but it doesn't really slow her down that much. She's managed to lay low 4 of our foes faster than I could get the camera over there to realize it's happening. 5, technically, with the first one. That plasma sword cutting right through their armor, and she will not allow any of these scouts to report back to their vampire masters. All of them are now going to bleed to death. I consider for a moment capturing Phil and then recant it. He serves a vampire lord. Even if I could sway him to be a proper citizen of our hold, he would betray us the moment a vampire snapped his fingers and told him to do so. We will leave him to his fate. And, you know, Candledraw is just sliced off arms like they're hewing cake. One man has been lit ablaze by the magma blade and left there to burn alive. One of them, unbeknownst to Candledraw, does get up. And he is going to manage to staunch his bleeding enough to report back to his masters. This will be a problem for us later. The rest of them, however, they will all die. And what he'll report back to his masters is someone with vampire-like powers. A dwarf with magic has rushed through them with a magical blade that we got on a quest, by the way. A legendary magma blade for delivering a bunch of coal. How silly. It turns out Relurian decides to stay. After having a talk with Candledraw and a crisis of faith, he's decided perhaps it's not so bad here. And as such, he will be renamed to Final Sight. One of my commenters, hi Final Sight, I'm going to break the narrative for a moment to say, hello, welcome! Enjoy your stay. A traitor from the Empire shows up to make fun of us. I swear to God, they're just here to dab on us. They're just here to dab on us. I don't have the rank to trade with them properly. They're just here to say, ha ha, you got outcast. It's degrading. It's insulting. It's infuriating. You know what? It's almost grudge-worthy. Now his old ideology stuff will fade off of him slowly. He'll also mostly stay in the hospital and heal from his injuries for right now. If I get another chance to stab you guys in the face, I'm gonna take it. I'm letting you know that now. The face stabbing will happen. You hear that? I tell Candledraw, hey, I need you to get over there and finish mining out that hospital. We need a proper hospital. It's starting to affect everyone's mood that we don't have a proper place for injuries. I also decided to go ahead and put a lantern in there. And I'm going to get up and do that myself. Because by God, if I'm going to ask you guys to take risks, if I'm going to ask you guys to do chores in the middle of the fucking night, I ain't sleeping either. Ain't the dwarf white? The leader work, everybody else work. Everybody works.
I only have one rule. Everyone fights, no one
Fiora's
quits.
Roughnecks. I mean, this isn't Starship Troopers. We're going to set up a temporary place for Final Sight to sleep. He's going to be here a little bit, by the way, because we're going to have to mine out a bedroom for him. But we're going to set up a temporary place for him to sleep. Get his schedule set up. It turns out Final Sight might not be the brightest, but he's got potential and he's got his interests. And he's going to be a pretty good flex character for us. Imagine that, a knife ear joining a colony of dwarves after we use you for cave troll bait. There is some hardcore Stockholm Syndrome going on here that I don't even want to get into. I imagine we told him, by the way, that we actually were using them for bait. And he's still okay with it. Send Lilith to perform her first Master of the Forge duty. You see, the High Queen is not always available. for every single trader that shows up. And to give a little bit of back at them. I want to send her to do it, but Lilith has a more important job. And I decide I have enough time. Now, we've recovered a bunch of weapons from House Sanguine. You're probably wondering why I'm not equipping them. They're not dwarf make. If it ain't dwarf make, it's elf make. And if it's elf make, we don't need it. So what we're actually doing is we're going to smelt them down and get them materials. Because that's the best way we can get steel right now. Because ain't nobody know how to make fucking steel here. But we can smelt down your weapons and turn them into raw steel. And by George, that's how we gonna do it. And I was right. This asshole's just here to make fun of us. He literally showed up with a named great axe. The fuck? Stagurius? The great axe. I sell him some cloth and an elven bow. And flip him off. I also go ahead and just sell him the elven axe. That elf work, we don't need it. Elf steel? Not in our house. Take his herbal medicine. It turns out he sold me the only medicine he has. I checked the whole party. None of them have any medicine, so if any of them get injured on the way home, they're fucked. Final Sight is a wood elf. He's not a high elf, so it's starting to make and he's not a dark elf, so it's starting to make a little more sense that he decided to stay. Wood elves are peculiar peoples. The kind of people who will shoot you for a transgression you didn't even know you committed, but won't hurt you so long as you don't commit any transgression. Very peculiar peoples. Anyway, we got our little lantern set up. Dwarven lanterns are one of the most useful things from Stoneborn because they don't need to be refueled. Once they're lit, they stay lit forever. I check on Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh's gonna beat his... not Yu-Gi-Oh! His brother's Yu-Gi-Oh! That's my brother. Anyway, Yugi is going to beat his flu handedly. Final Sight's going to recover from his injuries. He might have a scar or two. The other two elves are over here making fun of him for deciding to stay with the dwarves. What they're really trying to do is convince him to leave because a party of 3 has a much higher chance of getting home than a party of 2. But Final Sight's made his decision. And Candledraw is now mining out what will become a tiny temple. A small little shrine to Moradin, the god of Forge. And finding a shitload of sulfur, too, and lithium while we're at it. We got so much in terms of rare earths that we don't even call them rare anymore. That's the most Alabama joke I've made in a while. Don't judge me. We've got to put in the bronze flooring. We haven't... Why does a Final Sight like me? What's going on here? Oh. You tried to flirt with me? What kind of elf are you? Today's set of thank yous go out to Nozomo, Blackjack, I Lurk in the Corner, Coyote, Vivid Syntax, Justin Rigers, Alexander Harris, The Angel of Speed, Scott Vogel, ODST Big Mac, and Song of the Void. Thank you all for attending today. Thank you all for being here, and I hope you will leave a comment in order to join the colony. please do be patient, as it might take a few episodes before you have a character show up. In the meantime, I am going to be live shortly with Here There Be Dragons and the start of May's Subathon. See you over on Twitch for Subathon.